That was John Lee Hooker with This Is Hip from a very dodgy collection I got with a magazine in the early 90s when CDs were just being invented and they were very precious things. And that track was chosen by Henry Rollins, who's our guest here today. And Henry was, when he was in Black Flag, and Spin magazine was the new kind of countercultural Rolling Stone magazine, and they needed acts like Black Flag to give them content and a bit of fizz. Henry would refuse to talk to them because in a story about John Lee Hooker, they called him a pimp. Is that true, Henry?
Yeah, they made fun of him. And that's back when I would go see John Lee Hooker play in front of like 70 people at McCabe's. And you could just sit right in front of him, and he would play just solo. He'd just sit on a folding chair and play songs and make jokes. And quite engaging, and I was very, very broke at the time. But with the money I had, I'd buy blues records, and I bought a lot of John Lee Hooker records. And they made fun of him. Now, you can't make fun of John Lee Hooker. He helped invent the sport, and I'm out. So I used to write for them.
Yeah, right.
And I liked the money because I was broke, and I liked being published. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But the way they were to him, I was like, you guys obviously don't understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And you're acting stupid.
They thought they were being complimentary in a way,
or just like snarky and hip. And I don't like hipsters. Hipsters bore me. So I'm not hip. And I said, and I'm out. And then they don't like me anymore. And
it was a long time ago.
I lose a lot of sleep over that.
Well, they're funny, those American magazines. I see, like Rolling Stone America is full of, ads for tits and ass. I
never read it.
The back of it.
Every once in a while, there's one writer who writes for them named Matt Taibbi, and I will read, and he's brilliant. And I'll read Matt's Rolling Stone pieces, but online. He writes about Goldman Sachs and economic meltdowns in America, and he's great. And you see why they hired him. I mean, he's a guy with a great intellect. Yeah. So, but I never touch those magazines. I don't care.
Yeah.
Music magazines for me is just mojo and going to the record store.
Right. And you're out here doing a series of shows this weekend or this week at the sold-out shows at the Town Hall?
Yeah, 2 at the Town Hall, and then there's another one
at
somewhere
Thornbury
else.
Theatre.
Thornbury Theatre.
I think there's tickets still available at the Thornbury Theatre one on Saturday night.
And it's part of the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and I often ask people when they come into the show, how do they see themselves? Do you see yourself as a comedian?
No. In that, not because I think I'm unique. The guy in the metal band tells you his band isn't metal. I'm not that person. But when someone says comedy, I think it's a really rarefied talent, and I admire it. I wish I could do it. So I've been to comedy shows, and these people are funny, or they're not, but for the most part they are. And there's a specific talent to find humor in things. Every once in a while, I bump into humor. Like, I just report back to you what I saw. It happened to be something that was funny, and so I can give you the information that is humorous because the event was, not because I'm making it funny. And so when I'm at a comedy festival, because people do laugh at my shows. They thought I was taller in person, so there's some laughs to be had. But
and in Australia, people often laugh at serious things.
Well, but more and more I'm finding aspects of humor in things that aren't necessarily humorous all the time without degrading the content or making fun of it, which I'd never want to do. And so quite often I'll be at a comedy festival, and I always feel like the odd man out because some of the stuff I talk about, there's nothing funny about the slums of Bangladesh. And the people are amazing, but that's not funny. And so some of the show I talk about stuff I saw that was not, I've been all through a lot of countries that are either war-torn or developing or third world. And none of that's funny. There's some moments of light and levity, kind of, but you can't make jokes about it because, what are you if you do that? So it's always, when in Australia, every great now and then, I'll be at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and I always feel a little like, well, at least people at this point, they know what they're getting with me, so they're not going to walk in and go, this isn't funny, he's being serious about stuff.
I don't think necessarily audiences expect to laugh a minute at the Melbourne Comedy Festival. I think there's developing a real tradition of storytelling, and I think that's what your kind of gig is, to be a storyteller rather than to be the prankster.
Right.
Years ago, there was about 89. The comedian Mort Sahl came, and as part of the comedy festival, he was at the National Theatre in St Kilda. He was pretty like a very cerebral kind of ideas man. When you first, I don't know how many times you've toured Australia with the spoken word show.
Since '89.
Yeah, I think your first one here you played at the club in Collingwood. And it was a pretty remarkable performance because it's still fresh in people's minds as a very fired up, engaged singer of a hard rock band, and you were still doing that, and this was something else you were doing, and you emerged. There was a crowd at the club, and you didn't come from backstage. You walked through the crowd with a rucksack on your back, I think, and walked onto the stage from the audience, and then just started talking. And it was a very serious. It wasn't a show. It was a very serious thing you spoke of with a death of a close friend. And during the performance, you could hear a pin drop. It was quite an incredible experience then, when you were coming out of the darkness and giving people something unexpected. Now you're playing in kind of bigger rooms, and you don't have that element of surprise anymore.
No.
In some ways.
No, it's things have changed. The audiences are larger, and more is known. There's more lights on, and you do TV and all this other stuff. So things have changed. I kind of go with it. For me, the reasons why I tour and go on stage are all the same. The dedication I put into it actually increases as the years go on, and I can further hone my discipline and focus. So I'm still as into it as ever. It's just that there's more cooks in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you got great skills, like your voice and the way you use the mic is, very. Do you have a way? I don't want to give away trade secrets. Like Sinatra, when he sang, he used to have the mic so gained up because he didn't have a band close near him. It had an incredible present sound for his voice. Do you have people working on that to get your voice?
No. My only sound requirement, I use a Shure 58 always. This is the only mic I ever need, and we just make sure there's no limiter or gating on the PA. Right, yeah. Just because sometimes when you yell, the thing will make it less loud.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't understand my voice if it's processed. And so we just tell them flat out, leave it alone. White light, clear signal, one backup mic on the ground if this one blows out, and that's it. A lot of my mic technique, sometimes when you overload the mic and like this voice, I got that from early Bill Cosby records.
Right, yeah.
All those old Warner Brothers records. My mother had thrown the snowball away, where he's overloading the diaphragm. Yeah. And that's what you can do with a mic, with a Shure mic. And it's not all that unique, but his tonality, where he'd get all the different voices going, and he would, the chicken heart, one of his great routines, he would put the mic basically in his mouth, boom, 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 with his heartbeat sound. And I would listen to those records as an 8-year-old. And Fat Albert, all that stuff. There's magic records for a kid. You laugh yourself into, to damn near pass out. And I haven't heard those records since I was about that age. But when I got to use a microphone every day for a living, I started to learn there's aspects of a microphone where you can have great effect with just by hitting the sweet spots of it.
Yeah, Bill Cosby is very underrated performer. I saw recently Dick Cavett shows have put out interviews from the 70s on his talk show.
He used to hang out with Coltrane.
Really?
Yeah, he would MC Coltrane events, and actually was able to imitate Coltrane and do Coltrane solos vocally. And sometimes Coltrane would come out and play with him.
Yeah, this talk on the Dick Cavett show, he talks about when he was wanting to be a jazz drummer, and he goes to a night in a New York club where you get up and cut guys and say, I'm going to play the drums. And he talks about, they starts the song, and it's very visual. He starts, to talk about, hitting the hi-hat, and they're going so fast that his arm freezes up in the first 30 seconds, and they haven't even started, and someone just leans over from behind, and he's in a state of shock. paralysis, and it's Max Roach leaning over to take the sticks from
Wow.
his hand, saying, "Look out, son! You know, I'll take over from here." We're going to play a song you've chosen now from a Verve collection, and this is Slim Gaillard.